Welcome back to Sea Glass Archaeology, everybody. I've missed you all so much, and it's been far too long since I've been able to take you to the beach. It's the middle of March, and it's a beautiful, mild day out. There's finally a spot that I can go pick because for the longest time, my shoreline was covered in ice. Now, over the past couple of weeks, I've still been out there beachcombing. I've been to North Sydney a few times, but the winds have just been so extreme, I haven't been able to share any of the videos or even take any videos, even take my hands out of the gloves. Take a look, everybody. We were the first people out on Indian Beach today, and my friend Karen found this awesome piece of red. It's a lot different than the one I found the last time we were here. This one here's got a little bit of a pattern. This might be a huge piece of an old lens, like a signaling lens. So here we are, everyone. We're at the first little set of pebbles, and it's a really good sign because you can see that there's green after green, and I'm pretty sure I saw another green that was even bigger. Hold on, I got this right over here. Oh my gosh, did I step on it? Okay, right over here. Like I said, it's really a good sign when we get here, and there's a whole bunch of glass that's just sitting right on the surface. And then look right over here, I can see another green. And then look right over here. I keep saying look over here a lot. It's been a long time since we've been to the beach. Now take a look at this find right over here, everybody. You can see that it's a nice soft shade of lavender. It's almost like a little purple, but it kind of looks a little bit edgy. So you can see that this piece right over here, it really doesn't smooth down the same way that other sea glass does. It's kind of got these little edges to it, and that's a really good sign that this is a piece of tempered glass. Now, I've actually seen colors like this and cornflower blue that were used in baking dishes. And I believe that meant that when they were breaking, they'd actually break into a whole bunch of tiny little pieces, kind of like a glass window in a car. And then over here, it's the tiniest of little seashells that you're ever going to see. I'm going to take these pieces, and then I'm going to keep looking over here. And then, oh, here we go. Look at that one. I got this one still right over here. And then look right over here. And I'm not talking about this green piece right over here, everyone. I'm talking about this piece of pink. Oh, the wind just picked up a little. So here we go. We got this beautiful piece of pink. I can already see that it's got a pattern on it. Now this is a piece of Depression era glassware. It's kind of neat. You know, we call it Depression era glassware because it was really prevalent in the 1930s into the 40s in that Depression era, and it was given away in a lot of instances. Back at home, I have a few beautiful examples of Depression-era glassware. So without a doubt, we're going to take this piece right over here and we're going to put it up to a few of those and see what it looks like. Take a look at this extremely unique piece of milk glass, everybody. It almost looks like it has a little bit of lattice work on it right over here. It looks like it's really dirty and sassy as well. It's absolutely glass. It's not plastic. I can see right over here. It's got the little break mark on it. And you know, milk glass was actually used for more than just cold cream containers. It was a really, really popular style of glassware. People still collect it very much to this day. And I actually have a lamp at home that's made out of milk glass. And I took it out of heavy garbage many, many years ago. It just sits there on my nightstand. It doesn't even have a light bulb in it. So I'm pretty sure when we go home, I'm going to share it with you, although I know it doesn't look anything like this one. Now that I look at it, this actually could be little leaf patterns, or it could even be something like a pineapple. Maybe it actually isn't lattice work, but it's really, really thick as well. So I'm really not 100% sure if this was originally from a vessel or something that was ornate like tableware. So I can see something blue right over here. I wasn't sure. It is absolutely a shard of cobalt blue. And then as I look up the pile, I can see right over here. Is this red? Are you kidding me? Is this piece right over here red? It is brown. It's a deep root beer brown, this piece right over here. It's hard to get it into focus. Now, a color like this would kind of be a color that I would associate with a medicine bottle. When we think about these dark brown colors, we're definitely thinking that the contents needed to be protected. So when I see a piece that's darker like this, I usually refer to it as a root beer brown, and I associate it with old medicine bottles from the 1800s. And now as I keep looking right over here, I just put it in my bag and we can see, I better keep looking over here to see if there's nothing else. Here, hold on, let me grab this. But I can see this one right over here, and this looks special. This piece is absolutely popping, everybody. I think without a doubt, this is uranium glass right over here. It's UV glass, sometimes called Vaseline glass. I don't know if you heard that, but the shoreline just gave up a bit. So this piece right over here, I'm pretty sure when we go home, we're gonna put this underneath a black light and this will fluoresce. But right now I see something else here. What is that? Oh, it was glowing. This piece was just glowing as well. Ooh, it's absolutely aged to perfection. I'm not looking at my hand here. I'm looking through the viewfinder. So look at that right over there. Those are two really, really great finds in this pile. I'm gonna keep looking just a little bit. Maybe there's gonna be something else on the surface that's really amazing. That's not this piece right over here, but that's okay. Once again, we find Jerry Springer is always on the beach with us. Don't let the camera angle fool you, everybody. This is actually a really, really small piece. You can see when I put my finger next to it, but you can see it's got this little bumpy pattern, and to me, this really looks like grapes to me. Now, out my way, I have found some larger bottles that were made by the Canadian wineries, and it had grapes on it that were like this. So there is a chance that something like this actually was like an older wine bottle, but we don't really see too many wine bottles that are made that are brown nowadays. I don't actually recall ever seeing a modern brown wine bottle in my life. But I definitely know that these that were made around 1920, 1930 had this little grape pattern on it. X marks the spot, everyone. You can see it right over here. I was looking right at the high tide mark near all of the seaweed, and this scrappy piece was sitting here glowing, and it's neat. You can see it's got the X on it, and it's kind of fun that I found this because I know without a doubt it was from a Javex or a Purex bottle. Now, a lot of times I've shared the Javex bottles, and then I had a friend in the United States through Instagram. Actually, I didn't even realize that Instagram had message requests. I had a whole pile of message requests on Instagram where people were sharing their shards with me and asking me if I knew where they were from. And somebody absolutely shared a bottle that I was able to match from a Purex because it had the same lettering as my Javex bottles that I've recovered, but it was a capital P. I know that I have friends all over the world that watch my videos, not just in Canada. So I really wanted to mention that in the United States, you can find these Purex bottles, and they look very similar to the Javex that I recover. So let's keep looking. The tide has really gone down considerably. So there's a lot of little spots to look at. It gets a lot bumpier. Oh, here we go right over here. We've got a nice piece of tileware right over here. I definitely have a good use for these. And then we have right over here the world's smallest little piece of sea glass. I definitely have a use for that as well. And then we come up right over here. And now we're in business, everybody. Check it out. We've got a marble and we've got a beautiful piece of green. Let's put up the green right over there. Now look at this right over here. It's a beautiful cat's eye. It's got some blue, some white, and some green. I'd say it's only about 10 millimeters. It's pretty small, and it's got a little bit of a flat edge right over here as well. This is so awesome. I guess it just rolled up, and now look right over here. There's a tiny little fragment, and it looks like it's yellow. At first, I wasn't sure if it was actually amber brown or not, and then I found this piece right over here, and when we put the two of them right next to each other, you can really see the color difference. This is really awesome. I might even have to see if this one glows underneath a black light as well, because sometimes I have found yellow glass and it fluoresces as well. Little green. Oh, big aqua. Big aqua right over here, everyone. And I know exactly what we're looking at right over here. Let me get it into focus. So this is without a doubt the tip from an old apothecary stem. These apothecary stoppers were really popular from the mid to late 1800s. I have some friends in the United Kingdom, and they recover fragments and even intact ones by the handful over their walks on the beaches. They were used more prevalently over there, I guess, than they were in my town. And a lot of times they would have had something around them that could have been something like a cork or it actually could have been like a rubber gasket, if you will. And I find a lot of these little fragments, but unfortunately I don't find too many that are intact. And of course it has to do with how rough the environment is in the ocean, so that the crown and the stem break off from each other. The crown breaks off from the stem far too often, and unfortunately I only find these little pieces, these little nubbins I like to call them. Well, I'm running out of place to walk, everybody, so it's going to be time to set the camera down and see what we find underneath these piles that are available for us to look at. I've got really great news to share with everybody as well. The committee at the Mermaid Tier Sea Glass Festival in Prince Edward Island have not only told me that the festival will be taking place July 30th and 31st this year, but they also asked me to be the official speaker and give 5 different presentations. I'm absolutely honored at this, and it's been 3 years since I was able to attend in person. I had such a great time then. I really hope that so many of you watching are going to be able to attend this festival so that we can share a smile in person. You know, I'm so excited to be going back to Prince Edward Island with my high energy sea glass archaeology style, and it's just so great when I get to see all of the pieces that people find from all over the world. We all get to share, because as I always say, no matter the language we speak or the shoreline we walk, sea glass and beachcombing is a language that unites us all under one beautiful community, and I'm so grateful to be a part of the international community and to share my finds with you. A little tiny piece of green, nice little shell right over here, amber brown. Oh, look at this, another brown. Oh my gosh, everybody, this piece is not brown at all. This piece is absolutely red. You can see this one here is not root beer brown. That is crazy. At first I thought this piece was brown. It definitely is not. It's a little bit of a darker red too. You know, it's kind of neat. I've been on quite the streak for finding beautiful pieces of red lately, although this one is so much smaller than the one that I found about a month ago. You know, it's really great that I just found this little piece right over here, because I was thinking after I was putting that video together where I found that really large red, that I really should talk a little bit more about the origins of red glass and where it comes from. Originally, red glass was made with a percentage of gold chloride or gold. Typically, the darker the red was, the more gold was actually used inside the vessel. It was actually thought to be the secret to alchemy over 1,000 years ago. People believed that you could make more gold by making red glass. And people actually believed as well that red glass, because it contained gold in it, gold chloride, actually attracted wealth and knowledge and power, and it was actually like a source of energy, a very, very powerful thing. I believe I once read that the largest glass vessel that was made with gold chloride was 24 pounds, and it was 1/4 gold. So imagine thinking how much gold that king or that monarch actually put into that piece. So my rule of thumb, of course, nowadays a lot of glass that is red is actually made with selenium, and I believe it's the same as the pink glass that I found earlier, is that the more selenium that you put inside of the glass, the darker it actually will become. So I'm not 100% sure if we can say that this piece over here has gold chloride in it, but it is definitely on the darker side than some of the reds, especially the one that I found earlier, which I thought was more of a carnival glass vessel. I mean, that piece that I found about a month ago when I was out on Indian Beach when the helicopter came by, that piece over there without a doubt is a selenium piece of red, where this one over here actually could be from the 1800s, and it could be one of those pieces that actually has gold chloride in it. Oh, how I have missed finding these. It's been far too long. So we can see it's a beautiful piece of pink. Oh, it's so long and it's elongated. So this would have been some sort of a tile. We can see on the back it's got the honeycomb pattern, and it's got a cement adhesive as well. You know, it just feels like it's been months since I found one of these, because I haven't been able to come down here, and I was kind of taking them for granted. But now that I haven't been here in so long, I appreciate every little piece that I'm finding, including this little one right over here. Now take a look at this, everybody. It's a piece of manganese glass. You can see without a doubt that it's got that lavender glow to it. And now that I'm looking at it, it actually has the same pattern on it. It's got these lines on it from the piece that I found out here about a year ago. And this is probably from the same type of a bottle bottom. Actually, now that I'm looking at it, the lines might not match up perfectly to the purple piece that I found. And I've talked about this before, that a piece that has this lavender glow to it is actually made before 1913. See, what happens is we put a lot of manganese in our glass as a coloring agent, and what that did was it took out a lot of the impurities of the silica or the very sand out of the glass composition, and it gave it a nice cleaner color. Around the start of World War I, the supply of manganese was cut off and no longer able to come across the Atlantic Ocean, so we found different agents to put in our glass to make it nice and clear, as you know, because most glass is clear nowadays. So when I find a piece like this, I can almost certainly date it to before 1913. It's at least 100, maybe 110 years old. It's really, really thick on the bottom, and then it kind of comes up like a shark's fin right at the top, kind of indicating that the bottom of this was from a bottle and this was actually from a wall. What a great little find this one is. It's absolutely so peaceful and tranquil out, everybody. It's really hard to believe this is the scene in comparison to some of the extreme waves that happen here in the winter time. A lot of winters as well, this beach becomes completely covered by not only ice, but it becomes completely covered by the ice flow. Some people call them ice clampers out here, but they are straight up icebergs. And they come up from the Northumberland Strait over here, and sometimes they can sit right on the beach and they can last for months and months on end. I actually love to come down here when the icebergs are out, and I'll sit here and have my morning coffee on an iceberg. And a few times before I had children, I got really, really brave, and I walked over 1,000 feet out into the ocean on these huge icebergs, just jumping from one to another. And to be honest, what happens when they come to shore, they actually fold up and inward on each other. So you can have some that go like this and some that are layered on top of each other. It's absolutely magnificent. And I did take video, I believe, but I think that the video is really, really old, and I don't think it's compatible with my tablet, and I don't think I'm going to be doing it again, because in hindsight, it was probably the most dangerous thing that I've ever done, was hop on these icebergs all the way out into the ocean. Little amber brown. Ooh, big piece of clear. Clear that's too tiny to pick up. Shoreline's eroding right now. That's crazy. I'm not going to turn the camera around, but the shoreline was just eroding there. Oh, this one's not a tiny at all, everybody. It's a marble, and it is a melt glass marble. It's got a little bit of like a mauve. Oh, here, let me come in here, everyone. I'm talking from all the way over there. Check this out, everybody. I just came up with another marble. It's got a little bit of a purple mauve, and then over here, it's got some red swirling to it as well. But now that I'm looking at it, yeah, absolutely. Now that I am looking at this piece right over here, you can see that it actually has a red swirl to it, and it looks just like a red heart. I'm not sure if it's actually catching here in the tablet. There it is right over there. So you can see that this melt glass marble that has a little bit of mauvey purple to it, and it's got this swirl of red to it, it has a bright big heart in it right in the middle. This thing is just what I needed. You can hear the ducks flying all around me. Everybody, I'm so happy that I just found this piece, and I'm so happy that I get to share it with everybody. You know, in a perfect world, I would have found this on February 14th, but every day is Valentine's Day for me when I get to share my videos with all of you, because you all mean so much to me. And as you know, I live a really secluded life out here of a sea hermit, and reading everybody's comments down below, it just fills me with so much joy. And as you know, I love to respond to every single one of you. So feel free to leave me a comment down below. Feel free to share some love. I really hope that so many of you are going to be able to come out to Prince Edward Island and enjoy the Mermaid Tear Sea Glass Festival with me and all of my friends. I am so excited to go. I've been working on my presentations already. Oh, look at that. I just found another heart right over here. See, when you lead from the heart with love, love just simply finds us. And that's kind of what I always try and teach the kids, especially because I've been taking so many kids to the skating rink with me during this March break, is that the world remembers how you make them feel. They don't remember what you say, but they remember how you make them feel. And that's why I love you all so very much, because you all make me feel so great. And it's just such a joy to have you in my life. So thank you for that. Okay, everyone, now look at this right over here. This would be a nice piece of earthenware. We can see how porous it is, which means it has all these bubbles over here, which probably means that it wasn't vitrified at a very high temperature. And this is probably from like a gallon crocky, like a big jug, if you will. It's got the edge on it right over here, so this probably would have received some sort of a lid. The lid would have went right in the middle, right over here, and this is just the outside of the wall of the lip right over here, or the closure, if you will. It's absolutely aged to perfection, and a piece like this is absolutely from the 1800s. It could even be a little bit earlier. And then as I'm looking, I see this right over here, and at first I thought this was pirate glass, but now upon further examination, I think it's just a piece of coal. Oh, okay, everyone. Well, this one here, it's got a little bit to it, but it's nothing that fancy. You can see that it looked like, at first I just thought this was a piece of Kelly green sea glass here. Let me try and get this going a little bit better. So you can see at first I thought this was just a piece of Kelly green sea glass, but you're not mistaken. Right over here, right through the middle, there seems to be a brown streak in it. Now, when I first started picking sea glass, I used to think that this was some sort of like a fancy vessel and that these were actually intentional. But as I've talked about in the past, when you see lines, these little brown striations inside of your glass, and typically you would see this in aqua glass. What this is this is iron flux, little specks of iron that gets inside the hot molten glass batch, and then it creates these kind of orangey streaks in it, as iron is known to do. While this is something that we're not going to be able to match to its origins because it's too small of a fragment, we know without a doubt that a piece like this is from the pre-automation process, and it's probably from the 1800s. So in my assessment, it's kind of like a tealish green type of a piece. This might be from a mineral water or a soda water bottle that was from like the 1880s, if you will. And it's just beautiful. Well, everybody, I really underestimated the amount of sand there is in comparison to the amount of piles that we have to dig. Unfortunately, a lot of the pebbles that bear the sea glass are deep underneath the sand, and these piles are few and far between. But we still have a few more spots that we're going to go check out. Hopefully, we're going to make another discovery or two before we have to leave the beach. Here's another tile right over here, and it's kind of neat because I was just about to put a big heart right in the sand, so in case anybody walks by on the shoreline and they're enjoying this beautiful day, they know that somebody else was out here enjoying the day as well. So let's do that right now. And there we go. I guess I stepped on it just a little bit getting up, but if anybody walks by, they'll get the point. Take a look, everybody. We are at the highest of the high points, right up against the wall, and I really didn't think about looking for sea glass here. I came up, and right away I can see that somebody has actually already been here, but it doesn't look like they did that good of a job picking, so we're going to give this a little bit of a peek right now, and we're going to see if we can find anything that's cooler than this piece right here. These are awesome shells that I collect, and these are awesome pieces of tileware that I collect as well. Oh my gosh, everybody, look at that! Yes! I knew it! I just knew that there was going to be something right here. Look at this piece of yellow. This is not the type of yellow that I'm used to seeing. This one is just so bright and electric. I think I'm gonna have to put this one underneath the UV light as well. But now that I'm looking at it, look at this little line right over here. That's the kind of line that I would expect to see, not that side, but right over here, this is the kind of line that I would expect to see from a light casing, some sort of like a lens cover, if you will. And as I've picked so much glass out of heavy garbage over the last 12, 13 years, I believe that I have something that I've not shared with everybody yet that is yellow glass, and it is going to be comparative to this over here, and it's going to match it to a lens cover. So this one's really, really exciting. I think I should keep on digging these spots over here. It's so amazing to think that somebody was digging right over here, and they were digging right over there and right over there. And if they would have just looked one more inch, they would have found this amazing piece that's now going to be in my historical sea glass display. If the erosion keeps up like this for another 10 years, I'm going to have beachfront property. Who knows? Maybe my house is going to come down the shoreline and it's going to be on the beach. Okay, well, I'm not that close to the shoreline, everybody, but it really is remarkable to see how much has come down in such a short time since I moved here 14 years ago. You know, I'd have to say at least 15 to 20 feet. Where I'm standing right now was probably the edge of the shoreline. Well, I've been kicking for another 15, 20 minutes here, everybody, and I found a few pieces that were larger and they were chunky, but there was really nothing really significant to share with you. The only thing that I really have to share is that I remembered that when you kick big rocks, it puts a hole in your boot really, really quickly. Luckily for me, the tides are so calm and they're not coming in, so we're gonna go do a little bit more poking around and hopefully we make another discovery now. Take a look at this glowing little piece right over here, everybody. It's absolutely aged to perfection. It's super small. We might have to put this underneath the UV light as well and see if this glows as well. I don't think it does, though. I think this one here is more of an aqua seafoam find. And now take a look at this, everybody. It's the smallest little fragment of blue. It's almost like a little electric blue piece. You can see it's so small. It's got a little bit of an edge to it right over here. It's only about 3 millimeters by about 1 millimeter. Microscopic find, but I'm sure I'm going to put this to good use. This might even become one of the noses on one of my reindeers around Christmas time, because Rudolph doesn't always have to have a red nose in my creative expression. Here's something else that I collect, and it's unfortunate that it's far too often. It's these pieces of styrofoam. Here's some insulation as well. They make it to the highest of tide marks, and that's where I pick them up. I bring them home, and I make sure that they're disposed of properly. And here's one more find for everybody. Take a look. It's another heart. I put the tablet back in my backpack. I took my knee pads off, and I'm heading home. I'm pretty cold, but look at this right over here. It's one more heart. So thank you, beautiful sea. Thank you, nature. Thanks again, everybody, for all of your love. Here is that beautiful lamp. It's got the hobnail base to it, and I pulled this out of heavy garbage a very long time ago, along with this beautiful milk glass vessel over here. It's got a nice little floral pattern on it. Now, looking at this piece again, I'm not 100% sure if it would have come from something beautiful like one of these vessels over here, or one of these cold cream containers. As you can see when I look at them, that they actually do have a little bit of a fancier, more ornate pattern to them. So the jury's still out, especially because this piece right over here has a little bit of a curvature to it. I remember reading a long time ago that milk glass vessels, when you hold them up to the light, they actually show a little bit of a rainbow through them. And I've actually never done that before, so let's give it a shot right now. Take a look at that, everyone. I can actually see there's a little bit of a rainbow right at the top of the lip. While most of the milk glass that we recover nowadays originated from cold cream vessels such as these that were made in the 20th century, it's really interesting to note that milk glass has actually been around for over 500 years. It was originally invented by the Venetians, who were looking for something that could be a competitor and an alternative to the highly sought china that was coming out of Asia, and it's tin dioxide that gives it this unique color. It was well over 10 years ago that I pulled this out of someone's heavy garbage pickup, and I could tell right away that it had been used. It was just a beautiful piece of yellow glass, and I hadn't really given it any thought until I found this piece right over here. See, it has this little line on it right on this side, which we kind of associate with the casing that it was affixed to. And just to show further, you can see I have this older tail light, which we definitely know is much older, made by General Electric, and it has that same casing line on it right over here. This one over here I can assume is probably much more modern, but now that I'm looking at it, I can see that the piece of sea glass that we found, it doesn't have any little rib patterns or anything that would actually help to refract the light on it. So there is a chance that this actually could be a little bit of an older light. And I've actually seen pieces of yellow glass such as this that were used in rail lenses, like glass rail lenses from train signaling lenses. See, when we look on the side over here, we can see that it actually is pretty thick. So there is a chance that something like this originated from an old rail lens or a rail light. It definitely has the casing that we would expect to see from a lens covering. Don't be alarmed, everybody. The video is not broken. It's going to be time to find out if any of the pieces, including this yellow one, fluoresces underneath the black light. So I've already taken everything and I put it out in a tray, and it doesn't look like anything here fluoresces except for this one piece right over here. It's very, very, very tiny, and there's a chance that it is plastic. I'm gonna have to give it the little water test, see if it is later on. And now I've got the other two pieces, and look at this right over here. So right away we can see that these two pieces absolutely do fluoresce underneath the black light, and for that reason we can assume that they contain uranium in them. It's really amazing to think that this piece right over here, this lens, actually has uranium in it as well. I figured that this one did, no doubt, but I really wasn't 100% sure about this one over here, because it's not that often I encounter yellow pieces, and they do fluoresce underneath the spectrum of a black light. I'm just tickled pink to share this next clip with everybody. So here we have that beautiful piece of pink that I found on the shorelines, and this is my collection of Depression-era glassware that I have pulled out of the rubbish. It's kind of wild because I remember reading that there was over 100 companies in the United States that manufactured Depression-era glassware, but on a couple of my different vessels here you can see Indonesia, and on these vessels over here they say Indonesia as well, and they are a much different shade than this piece right over here. We call this Depression-era glassware because it was made between 1929 and 1939 commonly, and a lot of it was actually given away during those dark times during the Depression era. I know that it was given away in cereal. I know it was given away in laundry detergent. For example, I've been told this one here was actually given away in a box of laundry detergent. And I even know that it was given away at carnivals and even at movies as well. You could go and acquire your next piece for your collection by attending a film. So it's kind of wild to think that these pieces over here that were meant to be very, very cheap and given away are highly coveted by collectors nowadays. And another thing that I kind of noticed is that most of the pink glass that we find out on the beaches, it's going to be typically very, very thin because all of this was made by machines, and the automation process typically made glass a lot thinner than it was for the decades before that. So there is one more fact about tempered glass that I wanted to add, and that is that if you try and drill it as sea glass, it is going to fracture because after all, it is meant to break under stress. You can see that I drilled right through this piece, and then after I finished drilling, it actually fractured. And this happens to me quite commonly, and we can even see when I turn it over that it really doesn't have that same type of a rounded edge we'd expect to see in sea glass. It actually kind of is a little bit more squared off. I've definitely come to learn to identify when sea glass is tempered and when it's not. But this piece here was given to me by a friend, and I didn't want to let her down, so I gave it a shot and I drilled it. It broke, even though I knew it would, and then I just replaced it with one of my pieces, and I don't think she's going to be none the wiser. Well, everyone, that's going to be about it for this episode of Sea Glass Archaeology. I'm so glad I got to take you to the beach with me, and we made some great discoveries along the way. If you enjoyed the video, I would really love it if you considered subscribing to my channel and even leaving a like down below, and of course a comment. It means so much to me when I get to read your kind words of encouragement and even share some insight with you towards the finds. So please be sure to leave a comment down below, and I can't wait to get back down to the beach and see what we find next. Look at all of the ice that has set on the shoreline. It is unbelievable to look at, and I was really afraid this was going to happen. I'm not sure how long it's going to last for. Hopefully it lifts soon.